My dear friends, especially those of you who have crossed the threshold of 60, allow me to tell you something important. This is not fear-mongering. It's not a trend. It's care. Too often, I've seen how seemingly small things quietly erode health, especially in those who deserve the most gentle attention, you. We've grown used to thinking of the refrigerator as a guarantee of freshness, safety, and longer shelf life. But I must tell you the truth. There are certain foods that should never, under any circumstances, be stored in the cold. I'm not talking about taste, the softness of bread, or the juiciness of vegetables. I'm talking about how cold can trigger chemical processes that are harmful to your gut, your heart, and even your brain. Every day, without realizing it, many of us put foods in the fridge that don't spoil on the outside. They change on a cellular level from the inside out, quietly, invisibly, but destructively. I'm not exaggerating. I'm speaking honestly as a doctor. One of these foods is the potato. Simple, common food. But when stored in the fridge, its starch rapidly turns into sugar. And when you fry or bake it, those sugars react with amino acids to form acrylamide, a compound that has no place in the human body. That doesn't mean you eat it once and get sick. But after 60, the body no longer detoxifies as efficiently, so the accumulation of such substances happens quietly, but with consequences. And the cold damages the internal structure of potatoes. They become grainy, overly sweet, and lose their firmness. Your favorite mashed potatoes or casseroles taste different, and it's not a coincidence, it's chemistry. Bread is just as important. We often put it in the fridge so it doesn't go moldy, but the truth is, cold breaks down bread much faster. It triggers a process called starch retrogradation. Moisture escapes, the structure collapses, and the bread becomes rubbery and flavorless. Within just 3 days, it's dry and crumbly, and that warm, fresh bread aroma is gone. You know what's better? Store it at room temperature in a paper bag, no more than 4-5 days. And if you know you won't eat it in time, slice it and freeze it. Freezing is a completely different process. It preserves the structure and flavor without damaging the bread from within. And when you're ready, just pop it straight in the toaster, no defrosting needed. That way your bread stays real, not some gray, lifeless crumb. Everything I'm saying isn't theory. These are research-backed facts. Observations confirmed daily in clinical practice. This is about care, not scare tactics. You need to know that your health doesn't depend on pharmaceuticals or lab tests alone. Often, it depends on simple habits in your kitchen. I'll tell you about other foods that lose their benefits or even become harmful when refrigerated. But start small. Open your fridge, look at the familiar, and reconsider. Cold isn't the enemy. But for some foods, it's no friend either. And if we have the power to change that, isn't it worth taking that step today? Cold can be a deceptive enemy. It promises preservation, but silently destroys the essence, especially when the foods in question carry more than just flavor. They carry support, strength, medicine crafted by nature itself. Some things lose not only their aroma in the fridge, but their very meaning. Let's talk about those that are particularly vulnerable. Not because they are weak, on the contrary, they are powerful, but only under the right conditions. Take honey, for instance. At first glance, just sweetness. But behind that sweetness are thousands of years of healing wisdom. Honey is not just food. It's a natural antiseptic, an antibiotic, an ally to the immune system. It was used to treat wounds long before medicine existed. It doesn't spoil, doesn't need preservatives, doesn't demand much care. But only if you don't put it in the cold. Cold turns it into a gritty mass, disrupts its structure. But that's not the worst part. The real danger is this. Every time you open a cold jar, moisture creeps in. And that's when the breakdown begins. Studies show that honey's antimicrobial properties drop sharply when stored below 10 DGC, 50 DGF. That means you're losing its power. What remains is just the taste, and even that, not the same. Don't let cold destroy what was made to protect you. Store honey at room temperature, in a tightly sealed jar, away from direct sunlight. If it crystallizes, don't worry. Simply warm it gently in a water bath, stirring softly. It will come back. In texture and in action. Now picture a tomato. It's like a drop of sunlight. In color, in taste, in benefit. Tomatoes are rich in lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that supports the heart, vessels, and protects cells. But all of that potential is fragile. In the fridge, it fades, literally. At low temperatures, the aromatic compounds in tomatoes begin to break down. The flesh loses firmness, becomes watery, glassy. The flavor disappears. Sweetness vanishes. Lycopene breaks down. What was meant to support your health becomes just a red vegetable with no substance. Tomatoes thrive best on the kitchen counter, in light shade, at room temperature. Let them ripen. Let them breathe. Let them stay alive. Onions, another food that's often underestimated. Yet they contain sulfur compounds that boost immunity, fight inflammation, and support your blood vessels. But moisture is their enemy. So is cold. In the fridge, onions begin to rot from the inside. On the outside, all may seem well, but inside, soft spots, invisible mold, bitterness. For older adults, this can irritate the stomach, reduce appetite, and place extra stress on digestion. And that's not why you ate it. You ate it for its benefit. Onions should be stored in a dry, well-ventilated place. In a paper bag, a mesh sack, or a cupboard shelf, far from moisture and potatoes. That way they stay firm, vibrant, and potent. And finally, garlic. A small clove, an enormous strength. Its pungent scent is the result of complex chemistry where allicin is born. A compound that lowers blood pressure, kills microbes, strengthens blood vessels. But allicin only forms under the right conditions. In the fridge, garlic begins to sprout. It loses moisture, becomes limp, bitter. Half its power vanishes within days. Don't let the cold render it powerless. Store it in a clay pot, in paper, in a basket. The key is to let it breathe. Keep it cool, but dry. And remember, the fresher and drier the garlic, the stronger it is. Each of these foods is more than nourishment. They are allies, support, especially when your body has already been through a lot. And it's not just about eating, it's about nourishing. Not just getting full, but healing. Don't let anything stand in the way of that. Not even your refrigerator. The refrigerator isn't always a friend. Sometimes it's the most unexpected enemy of your food. If we've already understood how onions and tomatoes lose their strength in the cold, now it's time to reveal new secrets. Cucumbers, avocados, apples, and pears. These familiar products seem simple and reliable to us, but behind their calm exterior lie delicate biological mechanisms that cold can instantly destroy. Get ready to learn exactly how improper storage can rob them of life and benefits, and what to do to prevent this. Cucumbers. The freshness of summer in every crisp skin. But if you put them in the refrigerator, you literally kill this freshness. Why? Because cucumbers are tropical fruits, accustomed to warm climates and high temperatures. Cold causes what's called chilling injury. Cells begin to break down, membranes rupture. Water leaves the tissues, and the cucumber quickly turns into a limp, watery mass. At temperatures below 10 DEC, the damage process accelerates, and even after a couple of days, you'll notice the usual crunch is gone, and the taste has become lifeless and bland. In the fridge, cucumbers not only lose flavor, they lose their nutritional value. Vitamins, especially vitamin C, degrade at an alarming rate. The best place for cucumbers is a cool but not cold pantry, or simply on the kitchen counter away from direct sunlight. If you must store them in the refrigerator, place them in a special compartment with controlled humidity and a temperature around 12 DEC. Or better yet, eat them fresh right away. Moving on to avocados, here the cold is destructive, not only for texture, but also for the biochemical composition itself. Avocado is a treasure trove of healthy fats, primarily oleic acid, which is especially important for brain function, immunity, and skin. In the fridge, cold activates an enzyme that breaks down fat molecules, turning them into toxic compounds and causing oxidative stress. This is not just a loss of taste or texture, it is a real chemical degradation process that turns this valuable fruit into a tasteless and useless substance. Scientists at Stanford University have found that just after a few days of cooling, avocados lose up to 90% of their antioxidant properties. To avoid this, store avocados at room temperature. Let them ripen properly, and only then, if absolutely necessary, place them in the refrigerator for a couple of days. If you've cut the fruit, leave the pit inside and apply a little lemon juice on the flesh. This will slow browning and preserve freshness. Apples and pears seem more resistant to cold, but here things aren't so simple either. Storing them in the fridge at improper temperature and humidity causes their cellular structures to break down, making the fruit soft and watery. For example, apples are strong sources of vitamins and antioxidants. But at too low temperatures, below 2 DDC, they lose up to 40% of their vitamin C in just 1 week. Pears are especially sensitive to frost. Storing them below 0 DG causes their flesh to become grainy, with a characteristic sandy texture in the mouth. Both of these fruits require cool but not freezing storage. The ideal temperature range for them is between 2 and 7 DGC with high humidity. If your refrigerator cannot provide these conditions, it's better to store them in a cool, dark place, avoiding sharp temperature fluctuations. Each of these products, familiar from childhood, hides complex biological processes that can be easily destroyed by improper storage conditions. Taking care to preserve their freshness and benefits is not just a household detail, but an important step toward maintaining your health and energy. A conscious approach to food storage is not a whim, but a necessary practice that helps you get the most benefit from every bite and avoid unnecessary losses. Remember, the refrigerator is a tool, not a universal solution. Its effectiveness depends on proper preparation of products and knowledge of their characteristics. For those who want to keep their bodies in the best condition, understanding these nuances is the key to health, energy, and life balance. Take responsibility for your nutrition and learn to store food so that it serves you as long and as well as possible. Let your food remain alive and valuable, and you, full of strength and inspiration every day.